Hi, good evening.
Evening, sir.
Good evening, guys.
Good evening,
Okay,
sir.
now I'll start our session. In last session, Python exception handling related, we started, guys. So, what is exception, purpose of the exceptions, and how many types of errors there, about the syntax errors, about runtime errors, syntax errors, runtime errors. These all we discussed. And next, types of exceptions, pre-defined exceptions related, we discussed. And abnormal termination we completed. How to stopping the abnormal termination also we discussed, guys, by using some exception handling techniques. Now here I'll open that previous program. So in the last session, using the rise keyword, how we are calling the user predefined exceptions. Using the rise keyword, how we are calling the predefined exception. This is a predefined exception. Okay, using the rise keyword, we are calling this one. Explicitly, we are calling. By default, predefined exceptions itself internally calling us. Using the rise keyword also, explicitly we can call as per the requirement. So for example, whenever I'm executing this program, so it is a reading input from the user. If that input more than 100, then invalid number like that returning. If that input is less than 100, then like a valid number like returning. Or else you entered so and so number like that also we can display as you entered so and so number like that. So this number we can use in this exception handling. Here you can use you entered or else 50 is a valid number like that we can write. So how we are getting that 50 here we are writing like this. Then so now here 50. So 50 valid number. 50 is a valid number like you can write if you want. Okay, no? So the point remember. And the next user defined exceptions how to creating and nested exceptions how to creating. This is we require to discuss in this. Okay, no? So major syntax, guys. Major syntax exception handling related major syntax is what? First try block related we are writing and required statements we are writing, followed by the named except block. Named except block along with exception variable. If value error is coming, the value error related message loading into this e variable, and that we can use like this. That we can use like this. So here simply pass I'm writing. If you want, you can write. And next one more except. So one more except followed by the name error simply like this. And the next one more except followed by the zero division error. Like this number of named excepts we can write and use. So one try block with multiple named except blocks followed by the default except block, and then followed by the else block we are using, and next here finally block we are going to use. Finally block, and then normal statements we can use here. Normal statements. Okay, what are the statements there? Outside the finally, they're called normal statements. Okay, this concepts we are using. So inside the try block, when we are executing some risky lines, so file opening related statements, database connection related statements, the kind of things we are writing inside the try. If successfully executing all try related statements, jump into the else block case, and then finally block. So here from the try block, from the try block to else block coming, and then finally also executing. If any exception raising in the try block, if any exception is raising in the try block, okay. So here, if any exceptions coming, just wait. Wait. Yeah. Now here, if any exceptions raising in the try block, so that exception catching by this try block, and sending to this except block. So here the first one checking raised exception matching with this one or not, like that. If not matching, then next one. If not matching, then next one. If not matching, this default one 100% matching. If this default one not there, if no exception matching, then abnormally terminating. Even though exception handling code creating, if not matching raised exception, abnormally is going to terminating. Abnormally. Yes, sir. Yes, Priyansh. So this structure, remember guys, all the keywords related I explained. So raise keyword related, as per the requirement inside the try block, we are writing logics. So based on the conditions like this, see here, inside the try block only, if n value greater than 100 using the raise keyword, we are going to call this particular exception. And that exception related, here we are going to write block. Okay, like this, the predefined exceptions using the raise keyword, we can call predefined exceptions here automatically calling. If executing here logics, if any name error related coming, immediately automatically calling and here matching guys. So predefined exceptions, no need to call, itself automatically calling whenever required. And if we want also, we can call like this. Okay, if automatically calling, due to which reason this error is calling, that message loading here. But if we are calling, we have to give our own message inside this class. This is a class, a predefined class. In parentheses, we can give the message also. These rules you have to remember it. So now I want to create a user-defined exceptions. User-defined exceptions I want to create. So in Python, class is a keyword, guys. In Python, class is a keyword. For example, here I'm writing class is one of the keyword in Python. By using this class keyword, we can create user-defined exceptions. User-defined exception name, or else every class exception is one class only. User-defined exception class name. By using the class keyword, we can create user-defined exception class name. By using the predefined exception, for example, I'll write here the exception class name, and then here we can write the required logics, whatever you want. So this is the concept, guys, how to creating user-defined exceptions in Python. By using the class keyword, we can create user-defined exception class name using the predefined exception name. So a lot of predefined exceptions there, guys, name error, value error, zero division error, key error, type error. These all are predefined exception classes. Parent class is exception class is there, capital E related exception. So using this class or using a specific class, we can create our own classes. So the predefined exception class as a parent class. This is a parent, and using this parent, we can create this child. This is our own class. Later onwards, this class we can use in our requirement. Understanding? And next, these user-defined exception class names are not calling automatically like a predefined exceptions. So we have to call manually by using raise keyword. Using the raise keyword, wherever we want, there we can call this user-defined exception class name. For example, in this program using the raise keyword predefined exception, I called. Now in this place, our user-defined exception name we can use if we want. Understanding? If this condition is true, then here I want to call my user-defined exception as per our coding related. All of you understanding? So now based on that one example, I'll write is, so working with simply working with user-defined exceptions, working with user-defined exceptions. So here I want take one input from the user, one number I want to read from the user, and that number is greater than or less than number compared to my default number. Inside the coding, one default number I want to use, and I want to compare with that number. Is it a greater number or a less number? I mean, big number or small number? Okay. So if it is equal number, then congrats, your guess is correct. If it is a big number, too big number you entered. If it is a small number, too small number you enter, like that, I want to display. It is like a guessing program. So we will do that. So now here class value too small error. Like this, I'm creating one predefined exception and no need of any logics, guys. Simply we can write like this. And next class value too big error, value too small error, value too big error. Okay, like two classes I created, user defined classes. So if you want here the parent class you can use, or only values related only if you want to comparing here the value error class is there, you can use that one. So this value error behavior can performing by this one. Other behaviors like name error, zero division error, these all are unable to handle by this one. But if I'm using predefined exception, so this exception class, what exceptions can handling? All exceptions by this also can handle. Okay, that is yours. Okay, two classes I created, value too small error, value too big error. Next, I want to create my own logic series. So for example, here, one while loop I'm going to use while true. While true means until while loop expression while you true is there, this while loop related statements are going to executing repeatedly going to executing. So here, one try block I'm going to use try block, and here the except blocks. Okay, and if any else is there, for example, just assumption. So else like this is a combination, guys. This is a combination, and outside normal statements. End of program like I'm using end of program. Okay, no? Yes. So now inside the try block, I want to read one input. Inside the try block, I want to read one input. For example, on default number, I'm going to take. So default number is a 10, guys. Default number is a 10. This is the default number or initial number. Now I want to read one input from the user here. So user input equal to, so we are reading data using the input function reading, and that again we are converting into integer format. Now here enter any number like that we are asking us. So something number user entered, for example 5 is entered assumption. So I want to check it, guys, here. If user input number, this one, if user input number less than default number, so if user input number less than default number means user input is what 5, less than default number value is what 10. So condition true or false? Condition is a true. If it is a true, going inside a block, then using the rise keyword value too small error I want to call. Entered value is a too small error, small value compared to the default value. So that's why using range keyword, the value too small error. This is my own exception I'm calling. And now here the message also, if you want, you can use it. So now here entered value is too small number. Entered value is a too small number than default value. Entered value is a too small number than default value. So this message I want to return. And next one more condition, guys. If you want, you can take it there. If user input greater than default number. For example, if user entered 15 greater than 10, guys. Okay, so user may entered 5, may entered 15 assumption. If 15 entered 15 greater than 10, yes. So first checking here, 15 less than 10, not true. Then coming to the elif. So here the true return. Then going inside using the raise keyword value too big error calling. So entered value is a too big value, that is a too big number than default value like returning. Okay, so entered value not less than 10, not greater than 10, guys. Then jump into the else block. So I'm going to print one message. Congrats, your guess Your guess is correct. So not less than 10, not greater than 10 means entered value is equal to 10. That's why congrats, your correct, your guess is correct, like I'm displaying. So, and I want to stop it. I want to stop it. So here stopping guys. Whenever break keyword executing, then while loop iterations are stopping. Okay. So okay, next here check it. When this condition is satisfying, immediately this value error, value too small error raising, and this one catching by the try block and sending to this except block. Sending to this except block. So except block behavior is what, which is which exception written by this try block, that one receiving and trying to handling. Except value too small error. Value too small error. Okay, as e exception variable related I created, and now here print print error comma e, like we can write. That's it. Okay, so if first exception raising, catching by try block and sending to here, then this except block receiving that and the message creating into this variable, and that we can use. And next, this one if calling, this one if executing, this one accessing by try block, sending to except block, here not matching, then one more except I'm going to use. So except value to big error related, print this error. Okay, no? Okay, I don't want to write any these things. Simply like this I handled it. Okay, try and except related only I used it here in this program. So if it is else block not executing, break keyword not executing else. If not executing, so here the message displaying again one more time asking number. So now check it this one 14 output. So entered any number is so I'm going to enter 5. Then check it error. You entered value is a too small number than default value. So here number 5 is there. First condition satisfying. Then this message, this exception return. Now here matching. So in this exception, whatever the message is there, that is loading into this exception variable, printing. And then any one except block only executing. So next any further lines there are not checking, normal statement not there. Again while loop repeated. While loop repeating one more time asking number. Entered any number. Okay. So I'm going to enter 2. Again a 2 small error only there. I'm going to enter 15. Now what is I entered 15 guys. So check it something mistake in there. So what is there here, the error comma e comes to here, error e value too big. Okay, here the exception variable not created, that's why error coming. So here the e guys, e. Now here the 15 I'm entering. Entered value is too big number than default value. So 30 I'm entering. So n number of times you can enter a big value, then this message you're getting. And if I'm entering 10, then check it here. Congrats, your guess is correct. And end of program printing. So this else block related executing because of the break, while loop stopping us. So after that, coming outside the while loop, this normal statement executing. Using the raise keyword, our own exceptions we are calling. For example, when we are working with the Django framework for developing the web applications, real-time web applications, one employee project related we are working. So we are sending request to the database for getting a particular employee, particular ID based employee. If that employee, ID based employee if not available, employee does not existing. Requested employee does not existing. So some exceptions we are creating. Employee does not exist, error. Multiple objects returned error, like a lot of user-defined exceptions we are creating as per our requirement. For example, if it is a banking related application, you are trying to withdraw some money, sufficient money if not available in our account, insufficient funds, like that we are going to displaying as. And also here, so if I'm entering only integer value, then converting into format and storing here comparing. If I'm entering here float value, so float value we are unable to convert into int, exception coming, value error related, then immediately, so that error receiving by try block and sending to here. So here not handling, for example, check it here. I'm going to entering 10.50. Okay. So now 10.50 value error is coming. Using the int casting function, float value we are unable to convert into int. In using the float function, integer value we can convert into float. So float is higher memory type, int is a lower memory type. That's why here only error coming while entering the data. So for example, here 10 point, any point values here, float values. If you entering value error raising here, that is receiving by this. And now here except there. If you want to handle that also, then here except value error or value error. This is a default exception, guys. So except value error and message we can write here as a and print e. Now here the 10.50. So invalid literal for int with the base value so and so like that. This is the default exception. If we are creating our own exceptions, then the exception we can match it and our own message we can create it. Okay. So here instead of float value, if I'm giving any string type value, then again getting different problems raised. So like that, number of exceptions, named exceptions related, we are going to write in any one block going to executing. Sometimes in interviews, guys, so what is user defined exception? How to creating user defined exception? Can you give an example like that? Asking. So that time you have to create your own exception classes. You are explaining about the syntax and about the range keyword related. Range keyword behavior is what like that. So like this one guessing related example, you can explain in interview. Got it, guys? It looks like more lines are code, but all are simple code only, line by line. Check it out. And next here, working with nested blocks, working with nested exception blocks. Working with nested exception blocks. About this, now we are going to discuss. What is that question means? Simply, how to creating user-defined exceptions. Can you explain about that? User-defined exceptions, how to creating? Can you explain or can you give an example like that? They may ask it. What is the purpose of the raise keyword like they are asking? Then you are going to explaining them. We can create user-defined exceptions also in Python by using the raise keyword only. We can execute them explicitly. User-defined exceptions not calling automatically whenever they require. We have to call explicitly using raise keyword only, like you are going to explaining. Now this is the last one, guys. Working with the nested exceptions. So one exception block, if available inside the another exception block called as a nested exception blocks. Simply one condition if available in another condition called as a nested condition. One loop if available inside another loop called as a nested loop. One class if available inside another class called as a nested classes. Same like that. One exception if one exception block related code if available in another block called as nested block. So outer exception block, inner exception block like there, guys. So this is outer exception block. This is inner exception block. Okay. So which exception block is contains another exception block inside it is called as outer exception block. And next, which exception block is available inside another exception block is called as inner exception block. These are there in the material, guys. So now through the material, I will explain about that. Check it, guys, here. Okay, not at imported. Okay, just wait. For example, here. So this is the nested exception block syntax, guys. So here this is outer block, this is outer except block. Outer try, outer except, inner try, inner except. Same like conditions, outer if, outer else, inner if, inner else. If and else related. So now here what is outer the try block, what is inner try block, like I explained. A try block which contains another try block inside it is known as outer try block. A try block which is defined inside the another try block is called as inner try block, guys. So now these 4 points carefully observe, guys. These are important points. These are important points. So if exception is occurred in outer try block, if exception is occurred in the outer try block, then control will go to the outer except block. For example, check it here. In this outer try block, if exception is occurred, that is receiving by this outer try and sending to this outer except block. Okay. So here handling or not checking. If handling, proper message displaying. If not handling, abnormally going to terminating. That is a concept. First point. Next, those points also are given. If outer try except block is not handle that exception, then the program will terminating abnormally. Okay. Next, if exception is occurred in the inner try block, then control will go to inner try related except block. Okay, na? So now check it this one is. Inside the inner try block, if exception is raising, so that is receiving by the inner try block and sending to inner try related except block. To this sending is to this sending here. Okay, na? So inner try related except block, if you handling that raised exception, then working fine. Okay. If this inner try related except block, if not handling raised exception, then that exception sending to this outer except block also. Outer except block also, not terminating abnormally. So inside this inner except block, if not handling, coming to the outer except. So here the handling or not checking. If you handling, properly executing. Here also, if not handling, then going to terminating abnormally. Okay, that is the point here there. If exception is occurred in the inner try block, then control will go to the inner try related except block. If inner try related except block is not handle that exception, then control will go to outer try related except block. If outer try related except block is also not handle that exception, then program will be terminating abnormally. So this control flow is very, very important. Based on that, we can write the logics. So here some examples I given, guys, for your practice. So what is output coming, like you have to understand here. Okay, number of examples are given, which blocks are executing, which blocks are not executing. So you have to focus it. Now nested blocks related, one program. I'll give it, guys. I'll do one program here. So I want to create one function, guys, related to nested blocks. Related to nested blocks. Simply create one function here. Nested exception handling. Nested exception handling related one function name I'm creating. And now here we can write the logics. So we can call this one nested exception handling function. So wherever we are calling, coming to here, inside the logics can write inside that. So first try block related. First try block related can write. So I want to print here some message. Outer try block for understanding. Outer try block statement. Outer try block related statement, this one. And I want to read one number from the user. So here int of input of enter a number, enter a number, like we are reading something number. So it may raise the error, guys. If we are entering integer type value, okay, converting. If we are entering float type value error may raise. So here the possibility is there, guys. Value error raising related possibility is there. May raise here may raise value error based on your entered inputs. Okay, so now here next if value error raising, then outer except block can handle, guys. Except value error, except value error, and inside that print statement we can write print and a message we can write. So outer error related, outer try related, this except block executing. So simply here outer error, something message also we can write invalid 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 input invalid input please entered please enter a number please enter a valid number. Okay, please enter a valid number. Invalid input entered, that's why please enter a valid number, like that asking. Okay, now so it's related finally block always executing print. So here nested try except block complete, like something message I will write here. Nested try except block completed. This message I'm writing. So now next inner try related. So here inside the try block we are writing as one more inner try. So now here print. So this is a inner try block statement. Inner try block statement. And now here the perform some action is result equal to 10 by this user entered a number. This user entered a number. So user may enter different number here. With that number going to performing action, guys. Division action I'm going to performing. So if user entered a zero value, so here may rise zero division error related, guys. May rise zero division error related. So that exception. If not raising that exception, then simply I'm going to print that result, guys. So here inner inner result simply I'll write. So inner block result. So I'll display here result. If any exception raising here, except zero division error related handling, and then print message. So here inner now here the inner block or else inner error, simply I'm writing inner error and division by zero, like that we are writing message. Okay, na? So this is inner blocks, guys, and this one is the outer block related. Actually, all statements are belongs to inner try related, outer try related. So inner try, inner except. Here, if any normal statement there, this normal statement belongs to this outer try related. For example, if you want, so here the normal print statement also we can write outer try block statement. Again, I'm writing. Okay, this is again outer try block statement, normal statement. Okay, now execute. Outer try block statement executing. Okay, first here the function calling is there. Because of the function calling coming to here and going to inside the try block, this normal statement printing. Now here asking enter a number based on your number. For example, here the 10.50 floating value I'm entering. Floating value, if you enter the value error raising, that is receiving by the try block, sending to this outer except, here matching, this message printing, and finally is going to printing. So now check it, outer except block related and finally block related executing. Okay, next second value 0 I'm giving, guys. So here this statement printing, and now I entered here the okay, this statement printing, I entered here 0. So because of the 0, next coming to inner try block, and this one also printing. Okay, and then here performing division, exception raising, zero division error, that is matching here. Okay, then this message printing, and next this message printing, and next coming to this last finally block, and then stopping. Okay, now check it here. So inner try block related printing, division by 0 exception related printing, again outer try block statement, normal statement printing, and finally block related printing. Okay, this execution flows you have to understanding properly. execution flow guys. So other here any other type of input I'm going to enter, check it. Now here the ABC I'm entering. So now here the invalid input, please enter a valid number. So ABC is a string type values. So here value error raising, that is taking by this, sending to this except block, this message printing. What is this one? So like this, if different errors coming. For example, here physically I'm writing as something A. Something A is one user defined name. This is not available. This is not available. So for example, here I'm going to enter the 5. So 10 by 5 we are expecting, but here physically A I used. A is not defining. The name error going to return the name error. Name is not defined. So name error related exception raised. Where here raising is in this place name error related exception raised. So that exception here handling or not checking, not handling. Coming to here except block, outer except block not handling. That's why terminating abnormally. Before terminating abnormally, this finally block related statement executing. So if you want, you can see here finally block related. Inside this inner try except also, if you are creating any finally block, that is also executing. So here the name error raising, here not handling. So before coming to the outer except blocks, first finally block executing and then coming to here. Okay, now? So like this case, based on the code, what kind of exception may rise? So we are thinking about that. It's related exception handling code we are writing. Still, if unable to handling, then abnormally going to terminating. That's where default except we are going to write. Using the default except, any kind of exception may arise, we can display common message. Okay, this is about the nested blocks concept. And in material, guys, a number of syntaxes are given for understanding nested blocks related. Check it. So how many try blocks can we write? Nested blocks means n number of blocks, depending on your code requirement. Depends on your code requirement. Okay, no? So next, okay, for practice purpose, some examples will do, guys. So I want create one function for checking division related, guys. Division related, division with 0, division with 0. I want to check it, guys. So for that, def divide numbers, divide numbers a comma b. Okay, a comma b or else x comma y, like two numbers reading. And now here the try block. So two numbers I want to read, guys. Or else directly at the time of calling function, we can send two numbers, and those numbers we are using in this division a by b. Directly I'm using a by b. So here the chances there, guys, zero division error raising related chances there. So now here except zero division error related. If this one rising, then print here error division by 0, simply here division by 0 not allowed. Any number division by 0 not allowed. Like you can write any number division by 0 not allowed. This message I'm printing if 0 division error is raising. Otherwise, particular result generating, that result I want to print here. That result I want to print here. Okay, now here division result, this result we are going to use. And the next, finally, block related. So one print I'm going to use execution completed. Execution completed, like normal print statement I'm using. Okay, try except else finally, only one block. Division related, whenever we are trying to do division, so based on the values, executing this. So now here, divide numbers, and here if you want, you can take two numbers from the user outside, guys. So here, eval function I will use. Eval function, enter a first number, like I'm using, and next enter a second number, guys. Okay, now here enter a second number. So n1, n2, there guys, enter first number, enter second number related. Now both numbers n1 and n2 sending to this function. N1 and N2 both I'm sending to this function. So based on that, here they're working. So if properly working, then else block code executing, finally executing, otherwise exception code executing. Okay, so entered first number 10, enter second number 2, then division result 5.0, execution completed, properly working. And next enter number 10, second number, denominator value 0, guys, denominator related. Now here error raising, any number division by 0 not allowed. Any number division by 0 not allowed. And execution